John Kramer lectured in psychology at Queen's University Belfast for over 30 years and has played an active role in applied sport and exercise psychology throughout that time. John has worked with national and international teams and athletes from over 50 sports and continues to publish widely, including his most recent best-selling book, Pure Sport.
So far, we've looked at the foundations of motivation and how to start to build the mental toughness to carry you through your training and the race itself. Now we want to start to consider in very practical terms how you can move from where you are now to where you want to be, and to place you on the starting line not only in good physical shape, but also mentally at ease with what you've already done and what you're capable of achieving. To carry this journey through to the finish line, the best person to help motivate you is actually yourself. Waiting for others to give you a pat on the back or to push you that extra yard is nothing like as effective as doing it for yourself. To help achieve this state, first of all, it's useful to have a firm idea of what motivation actually is, rather than what you think it may be. Naively, a lot of us think of motivation like a finite quantity. What this means is you've only so much of it to give, so you need to be careful or you can waste it. By adopting this particular view, it means if you commit to the marathon, say, then other parts of your life must inevitably suffer as a direct consequence. In reality, nothing could be further from the truth. Motivation isn't a quantity, but a constant process, and you'll often find the most motivated, committed or dedicated people manage to maintain fantastic levels of commitment across many different life domains simultaneously. Just take a look at those people who succeeded not only in business, but also in the world of sport. Their energy transcends boundaries. To achieve this balance, it's important to think of motivation not as a quantity or as a thing, but as an ongoing process that you should continue to fine-tune and that will change constantly over time. In its simplest form, it's best to think of the process of motivation as a chain, linking the effort you're prepared to put in to your performance, and then through to the rewards for a job well done, or feeling good about the process itself. The chain is at its strongest when you recognise that each part or link connects to the other, and most importantly, you've the capacity to change in order to help you realise whatever your physical potential may be. This will include having very clear goals and objectives, feeling good about achieving those goals, and taking credit for a successful training session, say, or a target reached, and acknowledging that you have the ability to meet those realistic performance targets time and again. Only then will you keep putting in the effort and keep reaping the rewards, and as a consequence, eventually becoming truly self-motivated. This all sounds good, but there's no sense in building your schedule around false or stupid expectations about what you can actually achieve. So the start of the whole process must involve you sitting down and asking yourself some very frank questions. In other words, to mirror gaze. Try to be honest and realistic here, given your life and other commitments, your current form, your weight, your lifestyle, the time you've got available to train. And taking all these into consideration, what do you see as a realistic target for your run? This time shouldn't be set in stone forevermore. It can be adjusted over time as your circumstances may change. But for now, come up with that time and then bottle it. That then becomes your long-term target. To beat that target will be great, but simply to achieve it is what you're now aiming for. And the next stage in the process is to assess where you stand and how you're going to move from where you are right now to where you actually want to be. One way to do this may be to select key dimensions, your weight, flexibility, fitness, strength, and for each score yourself out of 10, and then decide what score you would like to be on the starting line. Don't simply make each of these, say, out of 10 points. Instead, come up with a reasonable figure, and then you have the basis for your goal-setting strategies for each area. If all this is starting to sound too much, then maybe just take one dimension, your running times over set distances, and use these to establish goal setting. Now, how are you going to bridge the gap between where you are and where you would like to be? First step, jog down to the shops and buy yourself a training diary. and in it set down key landmark dates between now and the run when you want to check where you are in relation to each dimension, and you can then use these dates to see if you're in front, ahead or behind schedule. Record in your diary what you've achieved, and also note how you felt after each training session. And on the basis of this, adjust and reflect. And certainly don't shy away from rewarding yourself for a job well done, as well as recognising, of course, what else could be done to continue to improve. Some ways that you could rate yourself, apart from actual time, could include aspects of your technique, such as pacing, breathing, your stride length, even how good you feel. You choose which dimensions are important. Maybe even rate yourself out of 10 on each one of these so you can see a clear record over time and patterns emerging. And in this way you've started to develop a personal goal setting program that will involve short, small steps to take you from where you are now to where you'd like to be on race day. To show you how effective this can be as a way of becoming self-motivated, take the example of John Neighbour. In 1972, he watched the US swimmer Mark Spitz win 7 gold medals, and at that time he set himself the target of winning Olympic gold in 4 years' time. He then sat down and calculated that to achieve this goal he would need to take 4 seconds off his personal best, which he then broke down to a second a year. He then took this further to 1/300th of a second for every day that he was prepared to swim each year, and he then took it even further. He established that he needed to improve by just the blink of an eye for every 50 metres he swam. John achieved his dream, and more besides. He won 4 gold medals, all in world record time. It's unlikely that many of us have the single-minded focus or determination of a John Neighbour, but the principles you can use to become self-driven are exactly the same. It's important that you set goals that are specific, that are both under your control. So for example, you wouldn't want to beat someone as you can't control how well they'll run, but you might want to establish a time. And you want to set goals that are nicely balanced between being challenging, yet at the same time are attainable, that you can actually measure them, and that they are multiple, incorporating all different aspects of your performance. And finally, this will only work if these goals are personal, if they're yours. Only then will you keep giving yourself those all-important pats on the back that will keep pushing you ever onwards and upwards.